Hey everybody, welcome back to the Honey and Absinthe After Hours Podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Vincent, a background designer for animation.
And I'm Janet, the ex-Disney artist turned independent creator, and this is a podcast about all things art, business, and whatever we feel like.
Now today we're going to talk about how creatives and artists can prepare for the upcoming year, 2021.
But before we get into it, make sure to smash that like button
over there,
because it really does help a small channel like ours out.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So the reason why we're talking about this today is because I know, because I'm not your average artist, that most artists tend to, stick your head in the sand and, you focus really hard on your art and you have absolutely no idea what's going on in the outside world. And so I wanted to talk about what to expect in the near future, specifically the next few months to the next year, because I think artists don't care about news and current events because it's kind of boring when you don't really know how it pertains to you, and a lot of it really doesn't. When whatever people are upset about, or they think the world is ending, you tend to go like, yeah, but how does that affect me? It doesn't really, and most of it doesn't. But there are certain things to pay attention to that really does affect you, though. And we're in for a wild ride in 2021, and we just wanted to warn you about it, I guess. And the first thing is jobs, because that's what everyone is worried about, and in particular artists, because people don't consider us very useful, right? we're just artists. And we know that a lot of people want to work in Hollywood or entertainment, advertising, commercials, whatever it is, specifically in entertainment, because I am who I am. The saddest part is that we aren't going to have too many entertainment creative jobs in the near future.
How do you know that for sure?
So this is a prediction, but it's based off of some news, entertainment news, about the health of the companies like Disney and Warner Brothers specifically. So Disney, let's just start with Disney. Disney Plus, I always was a little bit confused by the numbers that they would brag about, like, oh, we have so many people signing up for Disney Plus, so many subscribers, I guess you would call it. And I always felt like, because we did the trial, because we wanted to know what is going to be on it. Is it worth, what is it, like $7.99 for a monthly subscription?
It wasn't.
It wasn't. We were like, there's nothing to watch on this.
Exactly, yeah.
First of all, everything that was on there, we've already seen before, whether they're old animated movies or old Star Wars and Marvel movies, and we were like, we watched all of this already in theaters or whatever. We don't need to rewatch it. Anyway, it's not that kind of movie anyways.
It's nice to be able to watch stuff again, but that's all the catalog is. What kid hasn't seen most Disney movies? And if you haven't, then when you've seen all of them, all the ones you haven't seen, then you just have a ton of stuff that you've already seen. Yeah.
I guess the exception is like those Disney Channel movies, or like those live action series for like teenagers, preteens and younger. And that's not for us.
Nobody watches that but the teenagers and the preteens, though.
Yeah, so we weren't really the audience for Disney Plus. It's basically for parents with kids.
Yeah. And Disney heads.
Yeah, I guess.
And like comic book people, I guess, with the Marvel movies.
Yeah, so I always...
And Star Wars.
Yes.
Right, there's that too.
And I always would hear news that Disney would brag about the numbers of people who were signing up for Disney Plus, and I was like, I personally don't know too many people who really enjoy Disney Plus, so you must be lying, or the numbers must be bloated in some way. And I never had any proof because I never really paid close attention to it. But recently, I found out that Disney Plus is about to lose millions of subscriptions because they had a promotion with Verizon where you would get a free year of Disney Plus if you signed up for Verizon.
And that totally confirmed your suspicions in the beginning.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, they're trial members.
Yeah.
There's tons of
Well,
trial
they're not
members.
paying for it. These numbers, they're great numbers to brag about, but
Who's actually paying for the service, though?
and who's actually going to stay after the trial period ends, especially because, like in the last podcast we talked about, there's not much content on that. Other than maybe The Mandalorian, there's really no reason to watch it. And then on top of that, there's also recent news that The Mandalorian isn't getting the kind of numbers that Disney wants, or even the kind of numbers that are reasonable. It seems like people just aren't interested in that show anymore, or the franchise even, in my opinion. So that's not confirmation that Disney is going to not be hiring as much anymore, but it's news like this that you need to start paying attention to when you either start working or want to work, because these are signs of the health of the industry that you want to be in. And another one, the second one, is Warner Brothers. I saw recently an article that said, I think from The Guardian, that Warner Brothers is going to cut about 1,000 jobs, which is 5 to 7% of its workforce. And there's a funny similarity between this news and how they reported on it and what's happening at Warner Brothers to when DreamWorks was restructuring with Universal back in the day when I was there. And they specifically said they're cutting 1,000 jobs, but don't worry, we're not cutting film and production jobs. We're cutting financial and the office jobs. And that's exactly what they said at DreamWorks when the restructuring was happening.
And that talk is being echoed
in the Warner Brothers article. They always say, oh, don't worry, we're not going to cut your job. We're cutting these other jobs. But 9 times out of 10, that's a lie. Or just, they will. It just is signs that they will down the line. If they're willing to cut these other unnecessary, quote-unquote, unnecessary jobs to downsize. First of all, they're telegraphing that they're downsizing, that they're tightening their belts a little bit. I wonder why. So even they're never gonna just outright say we're not doing well. No one is ever gonna say that. Yeah. And it's this kind of news that you need to look out for to kind of know, especially when you're not yet working,
where the industry's headed, or the direction at least.
Yeah. And another sign too is when top executives leave or step down. So, for example, Bob Iger before at the beginning of this year stepped down.
Man, I wonder Disney. What he could have.
I wonder what he knew.
That made him step down all of a sudden without warning.
Yeah, very conveniently.
Very conveniently.
In the perfect timing. And the same thing was happening at Warner Brothers. About August, a few months ago, some top executives stepped down from their positions, and it's always treated as some kind of retirement or whatever. You'd know if it was a firing or whatever. They would word it like that, but they treat it like some kind of it's innocent. I don't know anything. I'm just stepping down. Because I'm retiring, I'm old, and it's never a good sign.
I've had a long and healthy career here.
Yeah. It's usually a sign that they don't want to be here for the near future, and that's kind of telegraphing, at least to me, as someone who's been through a restructuring before and have seen similarities in the short time I've been working, that when a lot of the times, this is the saddest part, a lot of the times we find out what is going to happen to our jobs in the news, and it's not the execs or the higher ups telling us, even though we're working at the studio, that time to brush up on that resume, time to save a little bit of that money and stop wasting it, because bad times are coming. And we've both had experiences like that, where we find out I don't know, whatever's happening to our company in the news. In the news while we're working there, and then we're like, oh god damn it.
When you hear news about studios, there are people in that studio just thinking they're going to have the normal average day, and then not realizing their day has been turned upside down.
Yeah, by the news.
Yeah.
Like I've seen shows, people finding out that their show is canceled through the news before they find out from their producers that their show is canceled. So, like, yeah, that is why you need to pay attention to this kind of stuff. So you're gonna have a hard time finding work in the near future. And also, we're gonna have new lockdowns, apparently. And it's really sad because, I mean, we all know what to expect from the lockdowns because we've been in it. Us Californians have basically
haven't been released.
Yeah.
We've just been inside this whole time.
It's really sad. But this time, the difference between maybe March or May or August is that now there are very clear signs that there are people recommending that maybe we shouldn't do this, a second lockdown, like the UN or like WHO, the World Health Organization, and saying like, don't do this, it's really bad for your economy, and yet we will, apparently. It's not for sure, but we'll just assume the worst for now.
As of this recording, Friday 13th, 2020, that's where we're headed.
Yeah.
We're headed towards, what do they call it? A dark winter.
Yeah.
They've said, yes?
How scary.
How scary.
Winter is coming.
Yeah. Fantastic.
You know, when you look at lockdown news and all this stuff, pandemic news, at least we like to see what's happening in Europe first because they experience...
It's a good indicator of what's going to happen here. Yeah.
By like a month or so.
Because they had it before us. They, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had it before us and we kind of lagged behind, but everything that tends to happen there happens here. Yeah. Just, you know, but with a delay of maybe a few weeks to a few months. And they're protesting really hard over there because they don't want to be locked down anymore. And that's kind of a sign for things to come, I guess, if that happens, because I don't know how much more people will be able to take of this.
Yeah, look outside, and we go outside, get groceries and things. It looks kind of normal. Like, people are so over this shit, man.
Yeah.
Like,
I think the level of compliance is way down.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like people
It's
just
waning.
don't care anymore.
Yeah.
And on top of that, rules for thee, but not for me. Our governor...
Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, Gavin Newsom, or how some people like to call him, Gruesome Newsom. He has been attending parties with lots of people, no face masks. And so yeah, rules for thee, but not for me. We can't have Thanksgiving gatherings for more than like 3 households for more than what was it, like 2 hours?
But my birthday gatherings, I must attend them.
Yeah, I must attend these gatherings because it's me, Gruesome Newsom. The hypocrisy. So yeah, again, I don't know how much more people are willing to take of this. Just lying down, just like, we're just gonna like sit down and take it, I guess. I don't know. I expected that people would not comply like this hard for like an entire year. I had more faith in red-blooded Americans.
There's just too much social pressure.
Yeah.
That's the problem. There's too many top Hollywood influencers telling you
Save grandma.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So
You're a bad person.
they know best, clearly. So whatever.
If you enjoy listening to podcasts, audiobooks, I have a recommendation for you. You should try listening to Robert Cialdini's Influence. And if you don't have an Audible trial already, go to audibletrial.com/the Honey and Absinthe Podcast, where you will get 1 free audiobook and 2 free Audible original audiobooks, so 3 free audiobooks in total, completely for free, and it helps the channel out at no extra cost to you. So audibletrial.com/the Honey and Absinthe Podcast. And then also for all the people who are looking forward to 2021 conventions, I think in a previous podcast I talked about how I was paying attention to what was happening to Disneyland, because that's an indication of
what's going to happen everywhere,
to events, live events and things like conventions, because they're never going to just address conventions. So you need to kind of figure out other
what's the
things.
closest thing. Yeah.
So recently there has been news that Ticketmaster will not let you in to attend a concert or sporting event unless you have had the vaccine.
So, have you had your vaccine? This one hasn't had a vaccine. We need to put them in a containment chamber.
Basically, some kind of dystopian type of universe we live in these days.
Yeah, that is insane. But I guess they know best.
Yeah. So if Ticketmaster, usually when a company or one person, one sector of that thing decides a certain rule, usually other people will decide similar rules. It's like, so you're looking for the person who decides first how they're going to handle this situation. So if that's how they're going to go, that's most likely how conventions are going to go too. That they will not let you in unless you've had your vaccine. And again, there's not been too many updates on that, but likelihood of normies like us to get something like that is most likely summer to fall of 2021. But who really actually knows? So even in the fall,
I mean, who knows anything right now?
Yeah. A lot of things are up in the air. But I always like to prepare for the worst case scenario, because like you're prepared for the worst, and if it's not the worst, you've done your preparation anyways. So there's that. And I imagine that will affect attendance like crazy.
Oh yeah.
Because a lot of people won't be enthusiastic.
It was already difficult in the post, I guess. It was already difficult when ISIS was doing their bullshit. To go into a convention, people would check your bags and all this stuff. It was just the biggest hassle, because all of us have so much crap that we're bringing in. So imagine all of that stuff on top of, do you have your vaccine? Have you been vaccinated? All that stuff on top. Yeah. Social distancing, 6 feet apart with masks. Oh my gosh! Like, imagine what kind of comic book convention is that? What is that?
It's like LionCon times 1,000.
Yeah, it's like AX 2018, but with a pandemic.
Oh god. Yeah. Like Anime Expo is, I think, if not the largest anime expo. Period in the United
Los
States.
Angeles?
Yeah, maybe. I think so.
I would say that much.
And they have like lines for like 5 hours, 6 hours in the summertime out, like and that's because they're checking your bag to make sure you're not bringing anything suspicious into like a large convention center full of thousands of people. Also, they have to make sure cosplayers aren't like they're not
bringing sharp materials. The props are truly props, all
and
that
not
stuff.
real.
Yeah.
Which I feel like you'd be able to tell really easily, but whatever. So it takes hours and hours to get into a convention already, period. Now, like with this added thing, on top of that, like the attendance limitations, like the amount of people that are going to be allowed in, man, it's gonna be a nightmare. So people just won't.
Yeah.
People just won't. deal with that, and
That's sad because
Yeah.
we love conventions.
I think now is the time to give up hope in the near future for any conventions period. Like I had hope that like even a few podcasts ago I was like, it's possible if we just do these things. Now it's like, oh no, I don't know about that. I really don't know about that anymore. So that, I guess that brings us to 2008 and how similar all these things lining up just is very similar to the 2008 housing crisis. And we, unfortunately, as millennials, had a really hard time with that. We basically entered the job force with basically no job opportunities and a really bad economy because of no fault of our own, just how life dealt us our cards. So in a way, we didn't.
Life seems to deal every generation
their
some
thing.
cards, you know,
Yeah.
and that was our thing, I guess.
We in a way it was kind of nice because we didn't know any better. We thought it was just always this hard
Yeah.
to get jobs
Yeah.
and money and all this stuff. So I guess, what was it like for you?
Well, I remember it was around 2012-ish, 2013, when I had friends who were older than me who graduated, and just rumblings of how, just like little rumblings of like, it's really tough. Like they require you to already have work experience, and you know, as a graduate, you're trying to get work experience, so you fall into that thing a lot. It was just difficult, but I always thought it was difficult because it was competitive. I didn't think it was difficult because the economy was difficult.
Yeah.
Until when it became obvious to me that, the economy has a lot to do with it, was when I first started. I got hired in my first big studio 2.5 years ago by now, right?
Yeah.
When that happened, there was a lot of jobs.
Yeah.
And even up until last year, even up to right now, there's like so many jobs.
Yeah, right
now.
until the pandemic hit, and then it slowed down a little bit.
Yeah, it slowed down a little, but there's still a lot of jobs open. So that, just like, it's night and day. Before, I would hear a lot of people have a really hard time, and then now maybe I just look at things differently because I'm on the other side. But now all I see are openings.
Yeah.
You know.
Oddly, we have no idea why.
Yeah. Like we speculated so hard on why, but I can't tell. I don't know why there are so many jobs right now.
Yeah, I mean, it could be people are changing their careers for some reason, or whatever. I've gotten quite a few emails where people have been like, "You've inspired me to leave and to do the thing I actually want to do."
Yeah, it could be that, or I don't know. Maybe the way people are working from home is affecting the hiring. I have no idea, but it could be anything.
Yeah. For me, I'm slightly younger than you, and when 2008 hit, I was a junior in high school. So at the time, my parents were really worried about losing their jobs and also affording college for me, because my entire college fund was basically erased in one fell swoop. And yeah, it was really, really difficult. And I remember paying attention at the time. People were saying that something like this, it takes about 10 years to recover, and it basically took about 10 years to recover before, like you said, around 2018-ish was when things really started picking back up again. So at the time, I was in high school, and I knew that, like, I have 6 years before I graduate potentially college. That's not enough time. If people are saying it's going to take 8 to 10 years for the economy to get back up, oh shit, I might not have. It'll be really competitive, I'm assuming, or just there won't be any opportunities for someone like me. Why would they hire someone like me especially when I'm just out of school compared to someone else with more experience. So I was like, well, ignore. Well, I'll just focus on school. That's all I can do. Like, we'll figure out how to make college, like paying for college work, and it's in a way, I think when you're young, you feel like it's not your business. It's like, what am I supposed to do? And then when I graduated about 4.5 years later, it was really hard. It was really hard to find work. And for the most part, I freelanced through like the next 1.5 years before I was able to land a salaried employee job, which I remember in one of my freelance gigs, I was working with one of our classmates at the time, and she was like, I was telling her, because she was much older than me. She was, I think she had been an accountant before.
Yeah, lots of people who went to our school have already had careers doing something else.
Yeah, and then they realize later in life that what am I doing? I should be doing the thing I actually want to be doing. And then they make a career change, and then they go to art center and have like a whole, like, usually they're in fields completely unrelated to art. So she was an accountant before, I think, and I was saying, like, man, are you having as hard of a time as I am trying to hustle to find work? And she was like, it's the economy. And I was like, what do you mean? Because I didn't know any different.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, back when I was in like my previous degree, I was in school, I graduated, it was so easy for me to find a job. She was saying, like, oh, like, for most people, regardless of the field, if you wanted a job, it wasn't this hard to get work. And she was basically chalking it up to that. And the only way we were able to get out of it was to just, like, keep our heads down and, like, hustle really hard. Like, just keep trying to find work, keep trying to make ends meet.
And we thought that was normal.
Yeah. And on top of everything, don't expect a stimulus check anytime soon, because I have been keeping a close eye on, well, first of all, it's like a weird hobby of mine to be really into, like, financial stuff and the state of the economy and everything. And before the election, there was some semblance of hope that they might get a deal done before, because there was a lot of pressure on all sides. But now things have changed a little bit, and I would say don't expect a stimulus deal if this is like your hope. You're like just waiting for this. Yeah, they don't care about you. They don't expect it till like maybe March, if that. And the reason being is because it's kind of really technical, and I'm not sure anyone will understand what I'm about to get into, so I'll just go through it really fast.
Okay.
Basically, from now till January, nothing is going to happen because there is no incentive for anything to happen, because we're all waiting for the inauguration and the special elections that decide whether or not our Senate is going to be Republican or Democrat. And if it is Democrat, then great. It seems like the Democrats will control everything. Woohoo. But most likely not, so it'll be a lame duck session, and when that happens, nothing is going to get done, and even if it was completely Democrat, nothing will get done till maybe March. That's why wait until March, hopefully. But if not, just trust me. Wait, if you didn't understand a word I said, just trust me. Your stimulus isn't coming until maybe March, if that.
The way you made it sound like there's somebody at fault.
In my opinion, Nancy Pelosi is the reason, because she had every opportunity. Everything was going her way. The Republicans really just wanted to give her everything by the time the election was about to roll around, and she kept saying no. And now things have changed, because she has basically absolutely no more leverage. And because of that, she thought the election was going to go one way, and it did not go that way for her, specifically. So
she's outsies.
we will see. But it looks that way.
Yeah.
And so between now and January, we pretty much are at a standstill. And if you watched any of her press briefings about stimulus
Ooh,
checks,
she's exploding.
she's so mad.
Yeah.
Because she has no power anymore. And in January, she's basically just buying her time till January. And even if she gets everything she wants by January, nothing will happen in February because it takes some time. And then maybe something will happen by March, and that's not guaranteed. So yeah, don't be waiting for the government to give you money, is all I'm saying, because that's not happening anytime soon. So all of this was a whole lot of like doom and gloom, but this is not necessarily meant to scare you. It's just meant to like, this is a real
all of that news was for people who were banking on, getting a stimulus. If you already lost hope in that, then you're fine.
Yeah. But in my worldview it's best to know all the bad stuff that might be coming your way, so at least you can prepare for it. Because if you were like plugging your ears and going la 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 la, I don't know anything, I'm just gonna draw, or I'm just gonna do study whatever it is, you're in for a very rude awakening once you either graduate or once you look up and
something happens.
You don't have money.
Yeah.
You don't have a job, whatever it is. So that's all very important. So how do you prepare now that you know? And like I said, this is very similar to what we millennials dealt with back in 2008. And it's basically the absolutely number one thing you have to do is to save your money. I know I sound a little bit like a mom when I say this, but please, nothing hurts my soul more than when I see people waste money, especially when we all know what's to come.
What a really neat thing that we do that's been helping to save money on tons of stuff is like, you don't know how much shit that you have around your house that you could sell. Like truly, you don't know how you've been selling a lot of the merch that you got from Disney and DreamWorks. You've been selling that for a ton of money. And DreamWorks people, the Blu-ray collection, you know which one I'm talking about. How much did you make on that one?
I think a few hundred.
Yeah, Janet sold the Blu-ray collection for a few $100. So if you want a few $100, easy peasy lemon squeezy. You know what I mean?
This is such a tangent, but like, surprisingly, a lot of the weird gifts I've gotten from DreamWorks and like statues and trophies and all that stuff, they go for a lot of money.
Go for a lot of money, guys.
Because there's no real way to determine value. People are willing to pay a lot of money for these things that no one else can get. And I basically sold all the things because, first of all, I don't like having these awful reminders of my really bad time in animation around. And second of all, I'm not a very nostalgic person. Like I don't collect tchotchkes. Like I don't like them. They collect dust in the corner of the house. I hate it.
The cats are the tchotchkes that you tolerate.
Yes.
Everything else is mine.
Yes. Everything you see belongs to Vincent because he likes hoarding, in my opinion, hoarding things. And like those, what's really surprising is when I started selling these things, I thought the Disney stuff was going to go for first.
No, the DreamWorks stuff went gangbusters, guys. Like, yeah. I know some of you working for DreamWorks, I know you're watching us, and you're like, oh shit, I can make money. Yes, you can.
There's some like collectors out there.
Yeah, especially for a certain show about reptilian flying fire breathing creatures.
Yeah, I think I've like somehow gotten myself into like a collector's community on accident, and like they're trying to get me to use my connections to like get them exclusive stuff that like my friends might have maybe or whatever, and I'm like, no.
Well, we're telling you now, if you want to make some money on the side,
sell your
friends
shit.
Who work in the industry, sell your industry stuff.
Yeah, because it doesn't mean anything to you.
Yeah, come on.
I don't have. There's no monetary value that I look at it. I don't feel anything other than bad things when I look at it. So I just sold it all. Yeah. I would say, because I've also gotten really into like flipping things.
Right.
Like, and the first step you should do before going like garage sailing, finding hidden gems, and then trying to flip it for money is to sell your own stuff first.
And then you'll be shocked about like the normal things that you have that are actually worth a lot to some people.
Yeah, I mean, especially artists, we're into a lot of interesting things of value, and like if you've collected all your old like Nintendo games, Nintendo for some reason sells really, really well. Anything old, collectible, and artists tend to have a lot of it. It goes for quite a bit of money.
You want? I'm sure you're gonna make like a video, or we're gonna have a podcast all about this one day. But like, how about like take a few minutes just to give people some tips and tricks on eBay?
I don't like bidding on things unless like auctioning things, unless it's something that doesn't.
As a seller?
Yeah, as a seller.
Okay.
Advice, I don't know, just like it's about selling what you own, and you'll figure out what is worth something and what isn't, because there are a lot of things I'm surprised it doesn't sell and that people don't care about, don't want, and then other things that I underestimate, and then I go like, wow, you
want this?
You want this for that much? Okay, interesting.
Amazing.
And yeah, you quickly figure out what people like. One man's trash is another man's treasure, and yeah, it's really fun for someone like me. I don't know how else to explain it. We've been using most of the proceeds for your music habit. and yeah, I've made quite a bit of money in a very short amount of time just selling things that you won't let me sell.
And you can too, I'm sure. Artists collect the weirdest shit.
Yeah.
So
yeah, save your money, sell everything that you can if you need to, and downsize. This is really important because we kind of did that. Don't keep up with the Joneses and that kind of thing, and that means don't get like a 2-bedroom apartment that costs a lot more. Like, really figure out what you are willing to give up. We lived in a little studio apartment, and it was really hard. The two of us and our 2 cats, in a very, very small amount of space, and we didn't eat out, and we did everything we can to save money, and however much you want to downsize is up to you, but don't be ashamed to just be like, well, I'm gonna live with mom and dad for a while, because it's hard, and people might judge you, society might judge you, but if you're truly working hard and hustling and whatever, you do what you have to do to get by.
yeah.
And if that's the case, then that's the case. And I guess I just want to make that a really important point, because we see a lot of people try to keep up with the Joneses to a really impractical, embarrassing degree. Yeah. And it's not worth it. Like, what do you want to survive the next year or so of who knows? Like, all the financial people that I listen to, all the signs are leading to something bad is going to happen in terms of the economy very, very soon. No one knows. No one can tell you when. No one will be able to predict when it will happen, but it'll happen. And when that happens, you want to just know what you have to save and what you have to do to get through it. So there's that. We got through it.
Yeah, we'll be fine. And because we're in this very special situation where we could potentially see things opening up in the horizon, maybe next summer, after next summer.
I would say 2 years from now, honestly.
Yeah. But let's just say wishful thinking. Let's just say I say things things might get better next summer. You're saying it'll get better in 2 years.
Yeah.
So there you go. You have like 6 months to 2 years to build your this thing. You know, every artist has one, every musician has one. They always wanted to make this kind of album, or they wanted to make this kind of movie, or write this kind of script, or they wanted to make their graphic novel into something like into reality. I think now is the time to do it, because it's, I mean, the way I see it, it's like we're basically going to be in stasis,
Right.
for a little bit. And like, you could spend your time in stasis trying to make, little nickels and dimes here and there, or you could just build this project that you've always wanted to do. And when things get better, because they always do, you can't be too doomer about it.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, when things do get better, you have something to show the world,
Yeah, and you in particular always talk about like how much you lack time.
Right.
And how this is like an artist's greatest opportunity.
This is their dream.
Yeah.
Of like, when we were coming up, it felt like everything, especially when I first started getting into Instagram, I regretted it. I regretted not starting sooner. I told this story before where I had a friend. I think this was like around 2010, like 10 years ago. A friend said something like, "Hey man, you need to get on Instagram. You could have a lot of followers." And I just thought, like, what? That's like, don't people post food? Why would I need followers on this app? That's so silly. I had no idea what it would turn into. Then I finally decided to make my own Instagram, and then all I felt like I was doing was catching up with everybody.
Right.
I was just catching up with everybody. There was already a group of people who started Instagram the time my friend told me to. I should have listened, but it always felt like catch up. And this whole time from then on till now, it felt like this whole art thing with fucking Inktober and draw this in your style. Like, there was just so much overload of like objectives artists needed to do instead of just enjoying the act of making art, that now officially no one gives a shit about us.
Yeah.
Absolutely no one. And it's actually really liberating.
Yeah.
It's so liberating.
That we can kind of just do what we want.
Yeah.
And forget if it's so hard to get attention or to get people's approval, then like fuck it.
Yeah.
Just
do whatever you want.
Yeah.
You could keep doing the old standard artist thing. I'm going to draw. What is the new Overwatch thingy-majig? Valorant, whatever. It's like, I've seen cosplayers for Valorant, so I'm sure if there's cosplayers for Valorant, there's fan art for Valorant, so probably people are going to be like, oh, I want to make fan art for Valorant. But I don't know. Why don't you just like do whatever you want? This gallery showing you've always wanted to have, and you always thought like, man, if I had 2 years, if I had a year to really like buckle up and like really work on these pieces, there you go. Like, we're in this time period where you could just make something amazing.
Yeah.
Instead of doing what would that be? Doing the normal thing of hustling a job, I'd say. I think now's a good time to quit your job and do something awesome, because no one's paying attention right now, and it's kind of like the best time to hunker down and do something amazing. I don't know. I'm an idiot. I don't know if that's correct or not, but my gut feeling is like, the way I see things going, if no one's paying attention, it's a good time to make something so that when people start paying attention to art again, you will have something.
Right.
Something like that, I guess.
Yeah, I liken it to what Gary Vee says all the time. It's his, I think he even has like a book called like Jab, 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 Right Hook. And it's his philosophy that you can either like hustle really hard for basically the small dollar right away. And it's like, it's basically you asking for money all the time. Asking your audience to buy something or whatever it is, and sure, you'll make some money. You'll make that small dollar enough to like keep going or whatever, or you practice patience and you wait and you build up an audience. You build up your project, your thing, whatever it is, and until it's there. it's ready. It's 100% ready to go, and you've built up the audience for it or whatever it is, and then you go for that right hook. And that's usually how he is able to build up so much hype for and these crazy launches for and make a whole lot of money for whatever it is he wants to sell. So it's about, there are a lot of different ways and strategies and marketing techniques, I guess, you can employ. But that one, jab, 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 right hook, is his famous thing that he does, yeah. And in a way, because he talks about this all the time, when the pandemic hit, this wasn't new to him. Like, a pandemic was, yes, but the economy wasn't. He was basically like, oh, this is basically just 2008 all over again. And the difference is, like, when you're living, I don't know, 2016 for a while, you get used to hustling really hard. You don't know how to, like, you don't know how to, like, chill and, like, stop. But now that we're in this situation, I think what people are finding is that if you hustle as hard as, like, when things are normal, you're not getting the kind of return back, both monetarily wise and emotionally. For, like, let's say you make some great art project during the pandemic and you put it out. No one cares, because no one cares about artists right now. That sucks. That feeling really, really sucks, to have worked so hard, hustled so hard for something, and no one cares because we are in the situation that we're in. Versus, like, being patient and, like, just work on your project and, like, really put in the time and like, build up an audience, whatever it is. And when the time comes, and I think most people will be able to sense, like, things are looking up again and, like, things are doing good, then you go for your right hook, then you release it, then you'll be ready, more ready than probably everyone else who
you don't want to be like me on Instagram playing catch up with everyone else, is essentially it. You want to be, hopefully, when things shift, you're ready to go.
Yeah,
that would be amazing. So yeah, essentially, long story short, I think everyone needs to go on the internet now.
Yes.
I think there's something crazy that has been happening in the past week that we've been noticing, and that is there is a great migration of audience from TV to the internet. And what I've noticed is that people are turning off Fox News, CNN, MSNBC. They're turning it off and going straight to the internet. Now, like, I'm sure you could find out, for yourself what those reasons are, but it's a fact, because the people that we love to listen to are like, the fuck? Where did all these where did all these subscribers come from?
Yeah.
Where did they all come from? And all of them are saying the same thing. Like, where are these people coming from?
Yeah, we're saying the same thing.
Yeah, we're seeing, like, wait, why are so many people? Where are these? Even we're saying, where are these people coming from?
Yeah, I think everyone, including ourselves and people that we know, are growing like crazy right now. Like, it's hard to see when our channel's so small. Like, what does crazy mean? Is that, like, one subscriber to, like, 10, like, whatever? It just depends how big your channel is.
Well, there was a steady rate that went, like, a steady up, but like,
but now
it's just like
going crazy.
Yeah, something like that.
And
I mean, I'm making a gesture of a 45-degree angle, something like that.
Yeah, and for the bigger channels, it's even more obvious.
It's super
like, people
obvious.
Are getting crazy amounts of views when a few weeks ago that wasn't happening. And so people are rejecting the mainstream media, the legacy media.
They're rejecting media, the mainstream media, period.
Yeah.
Period. I've never seen anything like it. People already fucking hate Hollywood. Like, people are turning off the TV now. Like, and it's serious. It's crazy to watch.
And it's really just getting worse for Hollywood by the day.
By the day.
Like, I saw there was a whole lot of drama happening with, like, The Mandalorian and the actors and whatever. It's just like a whole, like, again, this is what you get for I don't know, forcing politics into everything, even including things people that have no business for politics to be in, like Hollywood, like the content that's like fantasy. People are like getting upset over, and it's just like it's driving people away. Like it's causing people to not like discontinue their Netflixes, discontinue their Disney Pluses, turn off the TV,
Cut the cable,
including streaming, and going
straight to the internet,
yeah,
where it's free, and it's just more free.
Yeah,
free on your pocketbooks and free to speak.
Yeah.
I mean, as free as it can be.
So that's why what we're saying, it just seems like, just like your experience with Instagram, it's like everyone needs to get on the internet if you want to survive in terms of like being relevant as an artist, as a creative, as a business, whatever.
Yeah, unfortunately, the days of, just having a gallery and that's it are days of yore. Unfortunately, you kind of have to be a personality. People want to see the Dalis and the Picassos in the flesh, watching them do what they do instead of, seeing the art that they produce. It's about lifestyle.
And I definitely think if your end goal is to just be an employee because you don't want to be your own boss, it's too much pressure or stress or whatever, it helps.
Yeah.
Having a presence on the internet, having an audience to call your own, I would like to say that I don't know for sure, but I do think the studios enjoy having basically free promotion by the people who have followings that they hire.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like sometimes they hire people just for their following.
I think the people in the studios hire artists with big followings not because they're good. It's because they're fucking walking billboards for the projects. And it's so obvious that's what it is.
And they're vain, so they'll definitely promote the project that they're working on when it's made known to the public.
Yeah.
So because it happens every time. So yeah, now artists that are hired in the studios, in a way, we're giving them, the studios, more bang for their buck because we're also we're walking billboards.
Yeah, you'd think that people with these followings could just figure out a project for themselves to do. That's and to use the following that they have, but instead they use the following that they have as social proof and leverage for a studio, I guess. Yeah,
it's just vanity metrics. I think most artists, judging by a lot of the comments I've received sometimes, there's such a lot of artists hate thinking about money. They hate thinking about business. They hate they're allergic to it. So, in fact, I think I got a comment that was like, how often you talk about money upsets me, or something like that. And I was like, but...
Well, there was a response to that one, though, right?
Oh, yeah, there's a response of, you are the reason why, artists have a bad rap or whatever. It was something like that. Because they're like, God, why can't artists just stop being artists for, 1 second and just, I don't know, think rationally, logically with the other side of your brain just for 1 second, because it'll do you some good. It really would.
I don't know what it is. I mean, there's big reasons why, but I think some of the more human reasons why people are turning off the TV is the people behind the camera are so unrelatable and so just not real people. And I think people want to be told, I think people want to seek out people that they feel like they could trust, and people want to at the very least trust normal people. I don't all these people reading off of the teleprompter, it's like, you're just, I don't know how to explain it.
They're not relatable or trustworthy.
I know that doesn't seem like it's, oh, why should it matter? I don't know, it kind of matters. It kind of matters these days. I want to, I want someone who's real, who's willing to be genuine with me, and who's not willing to pull any punches when they're telling me the news or something like that.
There's a
lot of placating going on.
Yes, and I don't know what it is, but the way we consume or choose the people who we want to listen to these days is a little different than before. We were watching like old school news, like those talking heads, network, yeah. Yes. And you were like, God, I hate this. This is so boring. And I was like, that's what news used to be, boring. And then you're like, oh, I like listening to this other person on the internet or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, that's interesting.
It's not that it's boring, because like they try to make it as sensational as possible. It's just not real, is my opinion. Like when I watch CNN, Fox, or MSNBC, for exception of Tucker, everyone seems like a bot.
Yeah.
Everyone seems like a robot. They don't seem like real people.
Yeah.
They're like wrestlers. They're like wrestlers. That's exactly what they are. It's
like
just like
scripted.
Yeah, and you want to, like, I guess people want to root for them and project all sorts of stuff onto them, like how when a wrestler, oh, it's The Rock, oh, it's Hulk Hogan, oh, it's this pundit, it's that pundit. It just doesn't feel real. It just feels like forced and sensational.
Yeah, when I was watching it, I was like, oh, I can feel the thousands of people's eyes glazing over and like just using this as a way to fall asleep at night instead of actually listening to what they're saying to you. And I thought, like, that's really interesting, because this other person, internet personality that we follow, he was talking about credibility, of how he wanted to be the most credible person on the internet. And it doesn't mean that he's right all the time, because no one is right all the time. A man is a man. But he was like, he wanted to be seen as like trustworthy and credible. And like, I think that's what internet people are becoming more of, even though we're like average people. We
don't know everything.
Yeah, we're dumb. We have failings. We are what we are. But there's a certain amount of credibility that especially like we've talked about, like the new school YouTubers and stuff like that, of like we will make ourselves look bad because that's just how we are. There's no
and that's how you are too.
Yeah.
You're just faking it.
We're all phonies.
Yeah.
And like there's no use hiding it
right
at this point. Like we've been around long enough on the internet to know that there's no use hiding it.
Yeah, I think like I explained it to you like this. It's like for me, the way I see it is like when The Social Network came out, that was sort of like the internet ethic rule book of like what you do. The famous line, right, is what you do is written with pen.
Yeah.
And I feel like everybody played by those rules. It's like, if everything's written by pen, then I'm gonna make sure everything I write is as pristine and as pretty as possible.
Yeah.
This new generation of people, they just take the bluntest Sharpie and go, fuck this shit. Like they just do whatever they want. They just like they know that that's, to present a pristine version of themselves is just like, why would anybody want to do that? It's too much work. It's fake. And then you find yourself in this position that we're finding out now, that like the whole culture is moving towards authenticity.
Yeah.
And then what are the people to do who have focused on, I have taken pictures with these producers, or I've eaten at this big fancy restaurant. No one gives a shit about you anymore. Everybody gives a shit about like how authentic you are, what kind of ideas you have in your head, like how I don't know, just like how you are as an individual.
Yeah,
it's pretty amazing.
It's I think the way I think about it is back when Facebook first started, because we were children of we were first introduced to like MySpace.
Yes.
And then we were there right when Facebook became a thing.
You do the most embarrassing things on MySpace when you're a kid. Come on. It's funny because like when I started realizing that our parents were starting to get into
Facebook.
Facebook, a lot of the same trappings I went through in middle school, they were experiencing, but they're adults. You know, just the whole envy thing and the whole like status thing, like the bullshit that like when we were kids, like making MySpace like profiles, like we would just agonize over friends. Remember Top Friends?
Top 5.
Oh God,
Top
the
10 friends,
worst.
whatever.
Those. Oh God, jeez. These kids listening are just like, what the fuck are they talking about? But like the people our age are just like, oh, wasn't that the worst? Yeah, like they were going through the weird social media politics bullshit that like I was going through.
And I don't know if you remember, but because I think Facebook started getting really mainstream, at least for kids, not adults yet. Like the parents and the aunts and uncles haven't invaded Facebook yet. But I think in high school it was a thing, and it was right when I think a lot of people in college, people I knew in high school that went to college, were getting. You'd see stuff on the news about how like, oh, their boss discovered their late night binge drinking partying photos, and then they got fired.
Yeah.
So everyone started like,
oh, I gotta make sure my Facebook is clean.
Yeah.
I gotta make sure that like the bong's in the corner, the alcohol's in the corner, the fucking bullet rye is in the corner, and everything's clean. Gotta put those eye drops on my eyes. Gotta put like, you know, a wet towel over my eyes, make them less puffy, all that stuff. Everyone's just trying to look as pristine as possible. That was a whole era of Facebook, of Instagram, of YouTube.
And I think the difference now is that we've lived with the social media thing for so long that we all just kind of universally acknowledge that we all have some
human failings.
Yeah.
Like like the Jeffrey Toobin thing, right? So whatever you think about that, well, first of all, my thing about that story is, who bears it all? Right before they Toobin, like, because that's my thing. Because like I was telling you, like when I Toobin, I don't want to look at my ugly ass body.
You know, stripped down, buck naked.
I know, yeah. But like, isn't it sad that like just like a normal like this is something everyone's done. Like maybe not to this mistake magnitude, but like everybody, this is such a human thing, and we're like this guy's job is lost. Like, come on, man. Can't you just like let him go? I mean, like as artists, we look at this all the time.
I don't think we can say that.
Oh, as artists, we look at the human all the time. Can we say that?
I don't think so.
Wow, really? Okay. As artists, we look at
maybe naughty bits. How about
okay.
that?
I just went through 3 different synonyms for what I'm about to say because Janet kept telling me I'm not supposed to say that. We've seen thick ass. Okay. We've seen. As artists, we see what's between a man's legs as much as you stare at a computer for your job.
We're desensitized to naked bodies.
Yeah, it's no big deal.
Yeah.
Okay? It's no big deal. And like, I don't know, I feel like the public embarrassment, the fact that his... not even his face. It's like... I can't ever picture him in another talking head in a fucking news network ever again without imagining the rest of it. But his whole body is just there, fucking like bearing it all for the world. And then that's embarrassing enough, and you took his job. It's like, oh man, come on.
I was reading his Twitter, and because of the way he is, he speaks very condescendingly, and I was just kind of like, you can't say these things after what happened, because no one treats an ounce of what you say
with any credibility
anymore. Oh my gosh! But yes, we've all had human failings.
Yeah, so
and
I
it's
think
ridiculous to hide them like that.
Right, and which is what all of the new YouTuber, like the whole new era of people on the internet know, like those are the rules of the game.
Yeah, that like, I mean, there are limits, I guess.
Of course.
To how awful of a human being you want to show people you are. Hopefully, like, I believe, I don't know, like 90% of people are not that awful. We're just all normal human beings with average failings. Who knows? Maybe I'm naive, but I think for the most part, a lot of them have the same goal as this one person that we like to listen to, that they just want to be credible, whether you agree with them or not. They just want to be seen as someone who isn't as biased as you're used to,
and that's
in legacy media.
Right, and that's sort of it. When he said that, I was like, oh, that's what we're trying to do too. Mm-hmm. And we're trying to bear it all in front of sorry. Just I keep picturing when I say bear it all, I keep picturing, we bear it all for everybody. We bear it all. Everything.
And I think
we bear everything. We bear it all.
Yeah. And we're willing to compliment people that we disagree with.
Yeah.
That we're willing to acknowledge when we're wrong, or like when someone else who is not on our side has a good point.
Yeah.
Like there's
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Apparently it's the worst thing in the world, but
for legacy media, yeah. They can't just let someone win, even once.
Yeah.
Someone they disagree with. The whole point of this is, if you want to be part of this internet movement, you better get on this like right now. We regretted not being on it immediately, like when Instagram became a thing and everything, and
even though we were kind of late as artists to get on to this YouTube thing, I'm digging at when we chose to do this.
Yeah.
Even though it's like the world's ending and stuff, I'm glad we did it at this time.
I think it's a really great time because before, I don't know if I would have been received very well in the more like plasticky YouTube world. I don't know if I have that in me. Also, I believe everyone should get canceled at least once.
It's fun. No, it's not fun.
I mean, kind of after the fact.
Yeah.
Maybe. But similar to like the whole like, oh, back in the day, if you had like a picture of you just drinking for some reason got you fired, we're a little bit desensitized to stuff like that now, and that doesn't happen as much.
Especially with people in as people in quarantine times, we're all showing a bit of our lives and how, relatable we are. And I'm not saying you should like put up pictures of you doing drugs and shit, but I'm just like, I just don't feel like the need to be uptight is there anymore. Yeah.
Especially with this whole, all the groups of people that in a way we're a part of, because we're trying to like just be ourselves on the internet. We're being as truthful as we can and just laying it out there for everyone to see. I definitely think we
I just can't stop thinking of like, this spot. Like, I just can't, like this mass like this. Sorry. It's just really funny. Sorry.
I definitely think we're part of this group, this
right.
like internet movement group, even though we're small in comparison.
Yeah.
And
the way we look at life aligns.
Yeah.
And the fact that we've all been canceled is I think it's rite of passage if you want to be in this group, I guess.
Yeah. You really don't go anywhere unless you've made a whole bunch of people mad.
Yeah, you really are
point or another
having real fun on the internet unless you've been canceled a few times. Yeah.
And like once you've been canceled, they can't do it to you again.
Yeah. Try as they might.
Yeah, it really just doesn't work anymore. And then you're free.
I don't know. I feel like everybody has this fear of drawing with a pen.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what it's like.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to have their eraser, to make the best drawing. But that's what it feels like in this age. It's like the people who are having the funnest time right now are drawing with a pen. And like, even though they're like making mistakes and scribbling stuff here, they just keep drawing. And that's how I see it. That's how I see what's happening.
It's I think the fear of getting canceled is worse than actually getting canceled.
Yes.
And also, once you've made the leap to being on the internet, it's kind of irreversible. Like you said, I mean, whatever you do on the internet is forever. But that's like everyone these days.
Yeah.
Like, we're all, regardless of whether you have a Facebook account, Instagram, like, everything is on the internet. It's just kind of inevitable. And rather get it over with, and then it will never really haunt you ever again, really. And it basically guarantees that you will be put on lists. That people will judge you and like basically go like, oh, you think wrong, you say bad things. And we talked about people putting other people on lists recently, and I think they realized that was a really bad thing to say.
Ooh, they took that back. They took that back really, really
they
fast.
They walked that back so fast. Because they realized, oh, this does not sound good.
No.
This makes us out to be exactly what we say we hate.
Oh, surprise.
Yeah, and so once you're kind of on the internet, there will be some people who view you as like, oh, you don't belong in polite society. And so be it. Put me on your goddamn list.
All right, so what are we recommending today?
Well, I have a really great recommendation for you today.
Is it a movie?
No, it is a podcast episode.
Oh.
In this particular podcast episode, there is a certain person that you might have some preconceived notions of, and he is a well-known, I guess, conspiracy theorist, I guess you could say. People tend to think crazy things about him and think he's crazy.
Some think he's a monster.
Yes. And I would say, if you think that, and it's because other people have told you he is, then I would invite you to check it out for yourself first. And then you can tell me he's a monster. And then I'd be like, okay, but that was a really enjoyable horror movie you just watched, wasn't it? Very entertaining, wasn't it? So my recommendation is the Timcast IRL podcast episode, specifically with Alex Jones and Michael Malice. And it is one hell of a podcast.
Now, please tell our audience how this came to be. Because I'm going to stress this later. No one had, I guess there were some rumblings of something like this happening, but of this magnitude, and to have Malice on, it's just like fucking cherry on top, of this amazing banana split. So basically, it was yesterday. So today is Friday the 13th. Oh gosh, who knows what's happened by the time after we've recorded this. But yesterday we finished our work. It was around 4:00. I had plans. I wanted to I'm trying to learn piano, so I'm trying to have a nice practice schedule going. And you are trying to do movies, so you're having your movie time and movie study session. But then I heard you across the hall go, "Babe!"
Yeah, so we were wrapping up. You were done with work, and I think I had a few more things to do to wrap up, video editing or whatever it was. It had been a long day, and what I tend to like to do at the end of the day is to put on this podcast and to draw, or if I'm not doing that, I'll study film or whatever. And I put on I see the loading, when there's a live stream, there's you can put it up before you start and people can come in and like
And chat for a little bit. Like, hey, everybody, are everybody excited for this episode coming out? It's gonna be great.
I saw the title and I was like, no.
So first, did you read like Alex Jones?
Yeah.
And then you were like freaking out.
Yeah. Because we know these 3 different personalities separately, all for, very specific reasons, and we know of what they are like separately.
Yeah. So we listened to Tim for just like general news, because it's just like he's just an animal. He like fucking has like 4 videos a day and a podcast sometimes.
Yeah.
Like he's a crazy, insane person.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, Alex Jones.
I think everyone knows.
There needs no introduction.
Yeah.
But Michael Malice, though, I remember we both mentioned in the podcast that like there is a certain person that we follow on Twitter who, I don't remember how exactly I put it, but the sentiment was like, who just did not give a fuck. And we were specifically referring to Michael.
God, he's the best.
So tell everybody how you told me.
Oh, so I was so shocked that like these 3 were all in a podcast together.
All in a room together.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God. That's like the first thing I shouted, I think. And like usually when you get into your like mood,
I get a little pissy when you bother me. Yeah, because I'm like, it requires so much energy, and I've had the whole mental battle of like, oh, I have to practice, I have to like buckle up and practice, and like any small disturbance is just gonna break my concentration. So like when I hear babe like all the way on the other side of the room, I was thinking like, fuck, like this better be good.
Leave me alone.
Yeah.
Let me make my music.
Yeah.
I know that, but I was like, I don't care. I need to tell you.
Yeah.
I need to tell you what's happening, what's going to be happening. And I was like, Alex Jones is going to be on Tim's podcast.
And I was like, what? This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. This is the most amazing thing ever.
And then I was like, with Michael Malice.
What? This is amazing. How is this real? You're joking.
And I think you realize, like, oh, all the plans that I had, all this, like, making music bullshit.
Out the window. So the podcast started, and then I was desperately, like, I turned the piano down to, like, level 1 volume just to get the muscle memory in there, and then just trying my best to listen to what I was doing and listen to the podcast. But once like Jones and Michael just kept fucking talking, I was just like, okay, I need to turn the piano off, I need to sit on this bed, and I'm gonna watch all of this. I am going to watch all of this. So the craziest part, well, we're going to get into details, but the craziest part was I didn't give a shit about who was watching with us. You know what I mean? Like, it was very like, I the same feeling I hope you guys get with our podcast, that you're just like there hanging out with us.
Yeah.
And that's what it felt like. Well, we were just hanging out with a bunch of knuckleheads. But the craziest part was the feeling I got after seeing how many people watched with us was shocking. Mm-hmm. That was the most shocking part for me. But let's just you can get into it now. I'm sorry. I thought it was I'm just so ready to gush. I'm ready for this.
Well, for the people who don't know, I guess the people that we're talking about.
Oh, we might as well talk about them, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Alex Jones needs an explanation, but he is, if you've ever seen him on the Joe Rogan podcast, he is usually like really like energetic and crazy and says all sorts of crazy things, and very entertaining to watch, whether you think he is an awful human or whatever. I can't, like, I guarantee you, the minute you start watching him, your eyes just
can't look
stop.
away.
Yeah,
you can't. It's somewhat like a train wreck.
Yeah,
but the most amazing train wreck you will ever see. It's just like you will just watch it.
And Tim is very like stoic all the time. Just
Tim is this is such an interesting podcast because Tim was the worst part of this podcast.
Yeah.
And I think because he's such a realist.
Yeah.
He's such a, like, he doesn't like thinking about human animal hybrids. He wants everything to be talked about in tangible reality.
Yeah.
But you know, as artists, I don't know. There's tangible reality is overrated, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I used to be the same way until I got a little bit older. And I used to be very like, oh, it's all about like what I can see and what is explainable by like science and all these things. And now I'm a little bit, I guess I acknowledge that there are things in the world that can never be explained no matter how hard we try by science. It's like how like scientists can also be religious at the same time. They're not like exclusive to each other. It's I guess that how I see it. But yeah, Tim's very like straight-laced, serious all the time. Rarely smiles.
Talks really fast.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, though, all three of these people talk really fast, and they're really sharp.
Yeah. Well, say what you want about Alex Jones. He's like sharp.
Yeah.
As sharp as a comedian. Like,
Yeah.
oh my god, he's so good. And then Michael.
And then there's Michael. What can we say about Michael? Michael, I'm kind of shocked with the response for Michael because it feels like he's had this following. It feels like lots of like people have been following him, but for me, following Michael, I always felt like he was like underground punk rock personality. Like you'd have to like find Michael.
Yeah.
But it was really interesting to see him in this because we like listening to him with Dave, and it's really how do we describe him? He knows a lot about North Korea. He's an anarchist. Would you say?
Yeah, and he's very, very intelligent.
Very, very intelligent.
I would say, in my opinion, one of the most intelligent people we like to listen to on the internet. Who is...
I can only think of like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Not more, but like just as bright. Like just as enjoyable to listen to because he just says amazing things.
And he is... Because he's a little bit punk rock and an anarchist, he says the most hilarious things.
And he has no allegiance to anyone. If you're his fan, you are a glutton for punishment. Like he wrecks his fans just as hard as he wrecks his enemies. It's amazing.
Like people think I'm really mean because I'm kind of the same way. I don't care if you like me. I'm still willing to dunk on you. I don't care. Like if you follow him on Twitter, it's the most hilarious thing.
Yeah.
He is the most amazing troll.
Every time you show me it's like a laugh or show me something, it's either by Bridget or Michael.
Yeah. He's amazing. And I saw like even his fans, when they say nice things either to him or about him, he'll still roast them alive. And I go like, oh my god, why? It's so hilarious. But
so we were very familiar with all 3 of these.
Yeah.
So when you told me, you were excited. It was like for me, I kept thinking of like how excited was I like this. How do I compare this to a time where I was this excited? It was kind of like watching the Avengers for the first time. It was just like, how is Michael going to talk to Alex, and how is Tim going to deal with Alex?
to wrangle all that energy.
And so let's get into it.
Well, my personal favorite parts, and the reason why you should listen to the entire 3-hour and 40-minute podcast, almost 4 hours, is
it just goes by like that though.
Yeah. There are different like ups and downs. It's a roller coaster. And there's this amazing part that's like that just echoes my dare to dream sentiment of like why I exist on the internet. Why, like, the whole reason I do what I do is to convey this message, to just dare to dream, to take this risk and do something worthwhile with your time here on Earth.
Something meaningful.
Yeah. And there was a whole I don't think they agree on anything except for that one message.
Yeah, and they all went down And they all had their own different version of Dare to Dream, basically.
Yeah,
Even
and-
Alex Jones.
And if you are, dear listener, if you have listened to me and you love our podcast, you love listening to me talk about and inspire you in every single episode to like chase after your dream, and you still haven't done it, listen to them. Listen to Alex Jones tell you to dare to dream. Listen to Michael Malice tell you to dare to dream. Listen to Tim Pool. Like, they each have their own little story. And I believe that people who have never done the things that I've done, the risk that I've taken, this unknown, like jumping off the deep end cliff and risking everything, not knowing if you're going to succeed. If you've never done that before, you just don't understand. Because a lot of people have asked me, aren't you scared? I'm scared of leaving my job. I'm scared of quitting this good thing that I have. I have all this fear. What will happen? I fear I won't have money. I won't whatever. You realize me and all three of these guys all shared that feeling at one point. I don't think I've ever been more scared in my life to do anything. It doesn't matter if I thought, like, the type of fear you have when you go on a roller coaster, let's say, or some kind of like high adrenaline activity that you do, is nothing compared to battling this fear and then conquering it. And then once you've done that, then you can talk to me about, like, I'm full of shit or whatever. But, like, in that moment, I was like, man, they're just like me. Every single one of them. They understand what this is like. And that was nice.
Gave you some confidence, yes.
It was nice to see a bunch of old men tell young people to be like, go risk something. Go do something.
Fail.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there was just a lot of joyful bits of we loved him, right? Mm-hmm. But it was hilarious watching him squirm because of Alex. It was kind of amazing. Alex would, because Tim's already worried that he's like on the brink of his channel being banned because, you know, I thought this was America and all that stuff. But he's just, you could tell this whole stream, that is the one thing on his mind. And Alex just keeps going, just pushing his buttons.
Yeah.
But honestly, what he's trying to do is just like getting him to smile and laugh. I guess they're just, to me, they appear to be genuine attempts from Alex to like, come on, damn. Put your hands up. Enjoy the roller coaster that is me.
What it seemed like was like Tim's like clenching on to the bars of the roller coaster cart thing and like, no, I will not let go. I will keep control of this crazy roller coaster ride. And then I think everyone is just like, just let go. Just enjoy the ride that is Alex Jones. So the most surprising thing about this podcast is how like unexpected it was. Mm-hmm. Because it's really weird and interesting to watch Alex Jones listen to someone and not like rant. I thought that was fascinating.
He's a good listener.
Yeah.
Like he would, and then the things that he would say are really sharp, you know? And Michael too. Like, it was really, really amazing to just hear him talk and correct Tim about certain things, or correct Alex, or even it would be hilarious when he and Alex agree on something that Tim disagrees with, and it was just like the most hilarious thing.
Yeah. Feel like he's not wrong.
Yeah. And then like just Michael being Michael, just like the little digs that he does to both Alex and Tim is just like, there's one where like, you know, one of Tim's pet things to say is like, you know, I'm a high school dropout. It sort of like to say like, oh, because, you know, I'm a hard worker. I do all these things.
And without skipping a beat, Michael goes, yeah, we know. I think I died.
We died.
I died laughing.
We died. That was amazing. And then the second, so that was the first. We died that was amazing. The second was, I think, when Alex was trying to explain what was the most boss thing that happened in the White House. But then Michael was like, no, you're wrong. The most boss thing that ever happened was when Pelosi was sent home.
Yeah. They turned the bus around.
Yeah. I remember that day like it was yesterday, trying to get ice cream to get to the Whole Foods. I saw that on Twitter and I was like, no, this cannot be happening right now. This is like the pettiest thing in the world.
But it's amazing.
But it's happening right now. So the whole thing was just a bunch of laughs and a lot of serious, like, you know, serious talk. But mostly laughs.
Mostly laughs.
Yeah, mostly laughs.
Yeah, like, Tim was squirming a lot, and it's, like, fun. It's fun to see that side of him.
Yeah.
It's like, they all show different, like, separately, we all know them for a certain thing.
Right.
But then together, it was like, oh, wow, you all struggled to coexist in the same room together.
But you try just as hard equally
Yeah.
to give each other space to talk and have a conversation. So it was just amazing. And I guess like I said, when the whole thing was said and done, the stream was done, and I want to show you right now this picture I took. Boom. It's a picture of how many people were watching the stream. So, like I said, there was very little talk about who was going to, you know, guest on Tim's show. Mm-hmm. And, you know, like the people who've been guests on Tim's show have never been this big. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, no, not this big.
Not this big.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't really expect much, but the fact that this kid, this skater high school dropout with zero advertising dollars, motivated 350,000 eyes to watch his 4-hour stream. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That, like, I kept telling you, like, as soon as I saw how many people were watching with us, and then I felt like my immediate thought was, oh my God, 340,000 people sat there just like us and enjoyed this, I'm sure, as much as we did.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it seemed like the entire internet was watching together. And when I went and looked on Twitter too, it seemed the same.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of like, if you weren't there live watching with all of us, I think you really missed out
on something amazing.
On what everyone was doing last night.
Now imagine what Hollywood is thinking. Imagine what CNN, Fox, and MSNBC are thinking. Yeah. They're thinking like, how? We have an advertising team. We have big, pretty, dolled-up pundits. Look at all these scruffy-looking assholes. Why are they getting 450,000 people watching their internet show? This should be mind-blowing.
Yeah, in only 4 hours.
4 hours.
This is live. And I just kept thinking, like, man, it was so many things had to line up in order for this to happen. Like, Tim had to have done whatever he does for as long as he did, or still does, in order to gain the authority to do something like this. And then on top of that, he had to have gone on Joe Rogan and, like, fucking gave Jack Dorsey a piece of his mind.
I think that's what made Tim, I think that really boosted his numbers. I think in my opinion, as Alex would say, the most boss thing that Tim has ever done was like that episode with Dorsey and his lawyer.
Yeah, and
that was amazing.
That all those.
And isn't it amazing that, like, you know, the people in Hollywood are watching all of this bullshit too?
I know.
You know, like, it's not just us. I'm sure there's a person working on a AAA video game right now who saw last night's amazing show and is like totally like, you were there watching it? I was watching it too. Yeah, wasn't it amazing? Like, it was amazing.
It was so fun.
It was so fun. Like, I kept telling you, it was the most fun. It was the most fun thing I've ever watched all year. Yeah. I'm not even like overblowing the thing. It truly is the most fun I've had watching, like, visual content, audible content the whole year. It was amazing.
More interesting than The Mandalorian.
More, yeah, sure. Yeah. And like, oh my god, like 350,000. Do you think
4
350,000 people would watch like just like The Mandalorian or something like that? I don't think so.
All together?
All together, no advertising.
Yeah, I think Hollywood, if they're paying attention, should be very scared of what that means. And like, yes, it takes a YouTuber much longer to develop that kind of audience than like to just be able to like put whatever cartoon or TV show or what a talk show host, whatever, on their network, on their channel. But this is like done with like zero budget and like a few people.
Yeah. Okay. An anarchist, a high school dropout, and a conspiracy theorist garnered 350,000 views in 4 hours with very, very, if to no advertising. And yeah, like I could only imagine Hollywood people or network news people just having an aneurysm right now.
And people donated to them because
by the end of the
like,
shows, they there was about like 7,000.
I mean, who knows? I don't know.
I'm sure. Yeah.
And like they donated because they liked the show, they liked them. They didn't.
So look,
need to.
normal people now have the power to control
To
the eyes.
legacy media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, you know, all that talk about you know, this movement from TV or just what we know media to be to this movement towards the internet. If you need more evidence, it's that. Mm-hmm. How did that happen? 350,000 people by the end of the stream. Like, how did that happen?
Yeah,
I can't imagine anything like that Hollywood could do.
Yeah, I mean, something was going on with our internet or something at like halfway in, and then we restarted the stream, and we saw there were like 160,000 people watching with us
live.
And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. Yeah, it was really neat.
It was. Yeah, and yeah, you have something to say, somebody?
Well, Michael Malice is doing a graphic novel comic thing, and he's looking for artists. So if you want to send him your portfolio, I think think him out on Twitter, and send him your portfolio or email him or whatever.
Yeah, and I think if you're looking for who has the best graphic novel art program,
I think Savannah SVA.
Yeah, so Michael, check out
people who graduated from
Savannah.
that school.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, there are a lot of great sequential artists out there, and yeah. But if you want me to do that, to like work on your comic or graphic novel, I don't know. You have to really convince me. You have to really convince me, Michael, because I will only do it if I really want to. It has to be like the next Failsafe or Doctor Strangelove or Watchmen or something. Otherwise, I'm like, I don't know about that. I'm trying to be the next Kubrick.
All right, so yeah, if you loved what we do, click like over there, subscribe, leave a comment, and all that stuff.
Check out honeyandabsinthe.com for our merch if you want to help support this channel. We have shirts, sweaters, and all sorts of things. I'm currently wearing the Cat Demon bomber jacket today. And make sure to subscribe. Check out these other episodes over here. We have plenty of more podcast episodes for you to listen to. And we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.